Okay.
Okay, here we are. Welcome, everybody, to Between Two Teachers on this Friday, September 18th. And we're still in quarantine, in case you haven't noticed. But we do have blue skies. That's a nice thing. So,
That's right.
yeah, my name is Consuelo Lara.
I'm Natalie Cronenberg, and we are also still in the sacred land of the Chochenyo Karkin Ohlone people, who we revere and salute. And today, we're going to talk about, what's still going on in education in our country. And actually, I wanted to start with a national story, which is the story of New York. And New York has 75,000 teachers and 1 million students. So you all have to get those numbers when you start to think about New York. And they're about to open up because they also have an infection rate that's below 1%. Right now we have something like 4% statewide in California, but they're below 1. So they're, it's still something, but they believe that they can handle it. The problem is, there are a lot of problems. The big one right now is that they've taken the date and they keep pushing it back because they're trying to make sure the classrooms are safe when the children come in. And 16,000 of their teachers are going to work from home because they've chosen it to be the safest thing for them. So 16,000 out of the 75,000 are going to work at home. So they are trying to find, and before they start school, which is next week or the week after, an additional 10,000 teachers. Now, they have found 2,000 within the system, and these are people who are doing other things that we would call the teachers on special assignment kind of teachers who are coaches. Well, they're all gone in because when they started to look for people, so they found 2,000 central office teachers, but they're still, and the district is saying, well, we've handled it. We've got these 2,000. The principals and the teachers union believe they're 8,000 short. So that's a lot of people. You're muted.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, where are they going to get all those teachers?
Well, they're going to have to look at it. They're all looking in different places. They're looking at retired teachers who've just, but the issues are that some of those teachers retired specifically because they don't want to do remote learning, right? You see that they can look to bring in teachers who are on emergency credentials. I mean, there's all kinds of different strategies they're looking for, but they're going to be a good example anyhow, because we'll see how it plays out for them. But that is what they're looking at right now. They're on the search for 10,000, 8,000, because we got 2,000, 8,000. 8,000
wow.
teachers.
Jeez. Yeah, that's amazing.
That's amazing thing. Anyway, so that's the New York story, and I have it here, so you can take a look at it and follow it. Also, the other story had to do with the fires, which we still have going on, and that have been absolutely horrific. There are schools, entire communities that are gone, and schools that are gone. But what was interesting about the fires is that because we were already in distance learning in California, and I guess also in Oregon, it wasn't as disruptive to students who were learning. I mean, they are able, they're continuing on wherever they've been relocated.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have happened before.
Yeah, right? That's true. Would have been.
So that's, I mean, people are talking about that even with that, and it's sort of a bizarre thing, but the fact that they showed one school where the entire school is gone, but everybody's in class because they all had their Chromebooks and they're all home, and most of the faculty, as is usually the case, did not live in that town. And the kids got relocated to different other communities or friends, and they all can still connect online.
So the disruption to instruction was minimal.
Yeah.
Whereas if we were in
So
buildings, would have been big.
even though the building is completely gone, there is nothing left of that particular building. That's an example of how we are really outside of our buildings.
Yeah, that it's gone and then there's nothing to go back to.
No, they have nothing to go back. So what will happen in that? Who knows what will happen? I mean, they're going to have to rebuild that whole community. So that's another whole story. But it just is one more bizarre thing that's a result of what's going on in California, the fires. Another interesting thing in California, we have, you know how we have the state seal of biliteracy? We have a variety of states.
Oh, yes.
Well, we have a new state seal, the state seal of civic engagement. And I'm saying, yeah, and it's got to do with exactly what it sounds like. So it may be that, you know, a student who help out in any political manner, with no matter what side of a campaign you might want to be on, or help in voter registration, in other kinds of civic engagement, explaining the pros and cons of propositions to community members, to students who are going to be voting in a very short time. Those are all the kinds of things that could help you earn the state seal of civic engagement.
Wow.
That is a thing in California.
And this is new. That's new?
Brand new.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Wow. You know what I like about that? We talk about, you know, wanting to get more young people involved, and we're always looking for people to run for offices, and we're looking for younger people. And so this is a nice pathway, and it also contributes to what we talk about too, of homegrown leadership.
Exactly.
So I love that. It's perfect.
It's a smart thing to do, and especially now, and to be able to do it in. They've got all sorts of new civic engagement resources for classroom use. And this is it. I've got a quote here from on the a link to the page in the Trello. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, "We cannot always build a future for our youth, but we can always build our youth for the future."
Oh, wow. That's great. Yes, yes. Absolutely. That's wonderful.
So there's that. And then the other interesting things that have happened in statewide is there was a big court victory for actually for San Francisco, because there was an opportunity a few years ago. There was some changes in the statute to allow a group to put a ballot measure on a ballot to be passed. And so it wouldn't have to be the school board or the city council. It could be an organization that puts the measure on the ballot. That was a change. And then when they put the measure on the ballot, it only has to pass by 50%. It's challenged because they did it in San Francisco and it passed. And then there was a challenge about whether or not they really could do that. And it turns out they can. It went up and it went up and it went up through the appeals court. And so what we now have is funding the Next Generation, which is an organization in San Francisco, put this out, a groundbreaking court victory for local ballot measures and local election actions for kids. What this is a giant step forward for revenue measures to require only a majority vote, which is validated by San Francisco and Alameda voters, rather than a 2/3 vote. It's a big, big deal. And when there are folks that are looking at ways to raise money for children's issues, right? In various types of revenue streams. In California, if we could do this now. So the folks that put it on were the teachers union in San Francisco.
Okay.
So teachers unions and other groups can now do this and only have to get 50% plus one and have it pass.
All right.
Big
Deal.
The other ones I wanted to talk about was, there was other money that was given to kids. Santa Ana is now going to give half of their cannabis revenue to youth programs. That wasn't happening before. There's more and more folks that are working hard to get money dedicated to children's programs. And that's a great piece of news.
That's perfect.
Big.
Perfect.
In Sacramento, and this is another way to get money. What you have to do is just like folks are talking about defunding the police, but really it's not defund, it's redeploy funding, figuring out how that money, which is here to help us, can be best used. So the new thing that happened in Sacramento is they have redefined the term public safety to include emergency response and operations and community partners with youth-focused prevention services. So mental health community services, really community schools.
That's what it is.
From public safety money. And that hadn't been the way public safety was defined before, right? It was defined, because it never was. It was never thought that you need that youth programs, youth prevention programs were part of public safety. But in Sacramento now, they are. So they can take money from that budget and then use it for those programs. And so this is the kind of thing that the county of Contra Costa could do. That's what it is as a strategy. It's a different way to have access to funds to serve children. We talked about Santa Ana. Then we'll talk about this later. And I'll talk about those. Oh, and one more thing. Let me just do a privatization thing, or one thing on privatization. And that is in LA, the California Charter Schools Association, of course, are running their campaign, and they have brought out some very nasty advertising against a school board member, and it's just a total lie. I mean, it's an incredibly unfair thing. This is a man who's, there's also this whole thing about the ad being anti-Semitic.
Oh.
And they're talking about the fact that he tripled his own pay. Well, he didn't even do it. I mean, his own pay did get tripled, but it got tripled by something that they have down there, which is some sort of a commission, a compensation commission of people who are not appointed by the school board, who decide how much the school board members should be paid.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a really terrible slam against him. And it just really once more tells us where CCSA is, because they are very threatened by this gentleman, Mr. Scott Schmerelson. Mr. Schmerelson is the man they're trying to defeat.
Oh, gosh.
That is very sad. And anyway, it's disgusting. It's a really disgusting thing.
That is.
But now to local news.
Now to the local news. Yeah, well, I'm going to start with at the last board meeting. Oh, my goodness. In their infinite wisdom, this board, I was told I should say we, some of us. Anyway, our superintendent, his contract is up at the end of the school year. We know this. And so the new board, which will come in very soon, could start a search and, for the new superintendent to come in. Well, there are those among us who think we should start this search right now. I don't know why. But so the president of the board.
Point to make here that out of the 5 of you, only 1 of you do we know will still be there, right? 3 of you we know are not running for reelection, right? And 1 is in a contested race.
Yep. So
So
there
for
could
people,
be 4 new people altogether. Very, very possibly. That's right. That's important to know. So anyway, the board president has asked we, move forward. And first of all, you got to select a search firm. But before that, you got to come up with an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications. And then you have to agree upon that. And then you have to have a subcommittee of the board. And they're appointed by, so then they have to the board appoints the members of this subcommittee. I mean, there's a whole process. And we got what, 3 more meetings left that we're going to be, how are we going to all do this? And so on September 23rd, she'll bring up this request and we'll either vote to, do it or not, to agree upon a form and to agree to use a subcommittee. Then that subcommittee won't meet until October. And by then we'll have only a few more. I mean, it's just, I'm sorry, but I just can't believe that these individuals want to go through with this. And the way I personally feel about it, I took some words from someone else. I believe this search is scheduled 30 days before the election. I think it's improper for this board to attempt to set the agenda for the search 30 days before this board would be voted out. In my opinion, the ship has sailed. The community will agree. We need to postpone this search until after the new board is seated. That's the only thing that makes sense. And so I hope people will come on the 23rd and express how you feel about it. At this time of COVID, distance learning, all of this, do we really want to have our time on this? We've got better things, more important things to do. We have to focus on. For instance, what our new roadmap is, our new goals. The world has changed. And so we need to look at goal setting. Even though the board will be new, the superintendent's going to stay here. He still needs some direction. And I really like the idea of, us setting aside time to reflect, to go over, how the strengths and weaknesses of the board and how can this help him move forward. And so there's other things we could be doing than we just don't need to be using this time for that. And that's unfortunate. So I do hope people will come to the board. Tell us how you feel about that. And now to the good part. I really wanted to share some things that were written up in the last Friday's Friday memo about kind of summarizing how far we've gotten and the opening of school, of this new model of school. And it says, in a normal school year, our teachers end their work year around June 10th and do not return to paid status for 9 to 10 weeks until the middle of August. This summer, however, a significant portion of our teachers worked through this entire period without compensation. To obtain feedback from students, participate in grade and subject level feedback groups, attend parent and community input sessions, and build and design our distance learning program within the district. Our site principals also worked straight through the month of July without compensation to plan for the coming year. While we're still reading we're still reading about some major school districts where their plans are not agreed upon, or the feedback is scattered and they have major conflicts. But they continue to be the subject of newspaper articles. And we stand apart in West Contra Costa from other school districts. We are a bit ahead. And I just read that and I just realized the commitment and dedication our staff has towards these children is just, and nobody knows that. Nobody knows they worked all that time without compensation, for crying out loud. And so here's another piece.
And their boss let you know. I mean, that is what he just told everyone.
Yes, that's
right?
what he's saying. He's recognizing, acknowledging that. and as the leadership, and I as the school board, and recognizing that he is recognizing that. So that's acknowledging good work. Here's another thing he says. There are many asks of the district in this difficult time. We cannot, however, immediately commit to everything, nor can we please every voice, but we must listen to all voices as we have with our labor partners, compromise, collaborate, and work together to advocate for adequate funding and continue to build trusting relationships. And that's what it's all about, I tell you. And, you know, he has shown that kind of leadership in this time of crisis. It's to be commended. And the last, I do have this shout out again. I think we've shouted out to him several times. Will McGee, he is going ahead with this, you know, program of, he had a program called Educating Black Students, Building Resilience Through Relationships. Again, that point about relationships. Put on a great program last Tuesday. And oh, they've developed a newsletter with Mr. Shoemake and Miss Cecily Day. And so it's going to be monthly. And so that'll be available for people to see. That's a great idea. You know, you could post successes and you can, I mean, it's just, well, it's like what we do here. We can have updates.
You know what? We should interview Mr. McGee.
We did. No, we didn't. We do. We need to. All right.
We
Sounds
do
good.
that. Do that.
Yes. Okay.
So
So
I have, is that it? Are you?
that's it for
That's
me.
it for the local news? Okay. The shout outs I wanted to give were to the organizations that are really working on child care and who understand the enormous sets of problems that families are having with child care. And I think we talked a little bit about learning pods last time, and that's, you know, there are all these different strategies that various families are working on to try to find a solution as families are going back to work. And some families can stay home, many can't. Some of them, in order to stay home, have to give up their job and go on unemployment, which is an incredibly scary thing to do right now. But that is happening all over the United States, all over this district. But some of the two counties that are really stepped up are, one of them is San Mateo, where they have put together a program called San Mateo County Strong, and they are recognizing that the county is, I mean, this is all about what you take, who takes ownership for something. Right, and it's one thing to say, oh, that's a problem, it's somebody else's problem, but it's another thing to say, no, this is a county problem. This is a county problem, now we're gonna own it, right? It's just like Sacramento changed how they look at safety, so they are owning the problem of youth and preventing violence through prevention with youth. San Mateo is owning the problem of child care infrastructure in San Mateo County. And they've put grants out to child care providers. They're trying to build up an infrastructure so that everyone in San Mateo County can have child care. And they're doing it on a county basis. And the collaboration that exists is between the County Board of Education and the county superintendent and the County Board of Supervisors. So it's not being done at the district level. It's being done, so when they look at, there's something called San Mateo County Strong. They have their own organization. And what that is how they put these, all of these groups together. And San Mateo County Strong has all kinds of people involved in it. 49ers are involved in it. But they have child care relief applications, small business grants, loans to nonprofits, help for individuals. Now, this is not to say that San Mateo is, you know, doesn't have money. It's obviously they are a wealthy county, but they're taking the steps to do it. And I think this is a model.
What
right?
a model. Yes. Yes, I agree.
And they're not the only one. So the other one that I became really aware of when I was looking at this is San Diego County. It's the same idea. So
Yes.
both of them, you have a collaboration between the County Board of Education, the County Superintendent of Schools, and the County Board of Supervisors. And these political groups are come together and they're working on it. So San Diego County has the same thing in a little different format. It's called, they gave $25 million to childcare in San Diego County.
Wow. That's amazing. That is
So in San Diego
amazing.
County, they have the city and the county and the county Board of Education. Right?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
part that they
Big
put together.
partnership.
It's a huge partnership, but it's what is going to work. So they're going to
Yeah.
have, right? People there are not going to have the same problems at all that people have in other parts of the state.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is
Right.
the problem here is that we've got, we definitely have the haves and have-nots, but part of it is going to be what county you live in. And that's the fact. And so then you have to look, well, where are they getting the funding? And they're all different places, different ways that they are getting funding, whether they're applying for however they're applying for it or redeploying funding that they already have. But they've at least, what is exciting to me is they're elevating the issue of child care to
Yep.
something, an important issue, and not something that they're just saying, well, these families will just figure this out on their own.
Yeah. Oh, this is critical. I mean, it's critical to the economy. People can't go to work if their children aren't well cared for. This is a
Right.
big issue. This is a big
Right.
issue.
These families are going to be learning at home. I mean, this is the other whole part of this. The families they're going to be at home because there's no place, there isn't the opportunity for them to do something else right now. The teachers aren't coming back. We still have an infection rate that doesn't make it possible for us to have our
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. It'll be a
So,
while.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Uh,
New York is way ahead of us, and still everyone's struggling with it. So
Yeah, but so it's it makes me feel hopeful that we've got these models where they are doing something. We've got something we can build on, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel, kind of thing. So that's
no,
yeah,
and you can see that what they did. San Mateo Strong. Well, remember Boston Strong after the bombing in Boston. Every community figured out
remember.
its way, right? That's where that comes from, and so it's a unique collaboration. And when you look at each of these collaborations, you see who it is that's chosen to come together.
Yes, yes. All right.
So
Okay.
that's for
Yes.
this week. We're down to our joke.
Okay. You have the joke for today. What is it?
All right, I have it. I have
Okay.
it. Here it is. This is a geography joke,
Okay.
really,
Okay.
or an election joke, as Carlos said. Put it. What U.S. state gives out tiny drinks to voters?
What U.S. state gives tiny drinks to voters? I don't know.
Minnesota.
Oh my goodness, that's just too
And
silly.
that is
That's great. Leaving you with a laugh today.
laugh. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.